Good evening. I am Ryan here. I'm working solo tonight. Michigan Storm Chasers here for a briefing, live briefing at that, for tomorrow morning's snow event that will begin tomorrow morning, continue through the day into, excuse me, Sunday morning. Before we dive head first, I do want to do an audio check here because last night I had a lot of complaints about my audio being quiet. Please let me know ahead of time now if that is an issue. So if I need to come up a little bit, let me know now. I can adjust that and get this started here. Audio is good, says Evan. Okay, thank you. I'll wait for a few other people here. Sounds good, sounds good. Okay, we can hear you. Sounds perfect. Okay, cool. I'll take it at that. Let's go ahead and dive into this forecast. So if you caught the video this morning, not much has changed with our thinking. We're going to make this nice, easy, and quick tonight, starting with the European model showing a wide-scale system across the U.S. We're going to pay attention out here in the west. That is where our system currently is at, still being sampled by weather balloons. As it moves our way tomorrow morning at sunrise, the snow is started off to our west in Iowa and Illinois. And by the time we move into Saturday morning, we are going to be having snow showers working their way in right around that noon time frame or so. Could be a little bit before or after that noon time frame, but generally speaking, expect snow to begin right around lunchtime. Heaviest, though, arrives later on in the evening hours. We're talking after 4 p.m., closer to the sunset and after dinner time, 6, 7, 8. And after that, that will continue for several hours into the overnight period. And now we're in Sunday morning. Heavier snow engulfs the state. System moves up and moves off into Canada. By the time we get to Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening, system has completely moved out of the state and is now showing some lake effect banding on the backside of that. That could give lake effect belts a few extra inches with this system. So, taking it all in perspective and putting it on a local scale, let's go ahead and run through HRRR, the high resolution radar here as we move into the evening hours. Lake effect snow bands right now ongoing in the UP and northern lower. Those should not accumulate that much, but we are still seeing a couple areas that are still accumulating snowfall. Now, attention turns to a system here tomorrow morning. We're going to pause it right about here at 10 o'clock. This radar here, the model says, hey, we got snow in Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo areas. It may not start that quick. It could, but likely will take a little bit of time for the air to saturate fully. That could delay snowfall by a few hours. That's kind of what we're thinking, closer to that noon time frame. Expect snow to begin in West Michigan. Now, continuing this on into the lunch hour, we can start to see that snow expand further east and further north. By about that 1, 2 o'clock hour, that's when our snowfall rates will really start ramping up here. Especially, though, as we get toward the evening dinner time, the darker blue color indicating heavier snow bands are still yet to come into the evening hours. So, continuing, heaviest arrives right around 7, 8, and 9 o'clock tomorrow night across south central Michigan. And that will continue for several hours into the midnight time frame before the system starts to slowly move out closer to the 2, 3 a.m. time frame. And by the time we wake up into the early morning hours of Sunday close to sunrise, we're just dealing with lingering snow showers with lake effect snow showers ramping up thereafter. So by the time we get to 10, 11 o'clock, that is completely moved out of the area. And we're left with purely lake effect snow showers. Temperatures over the next 48 hours, we are pretty cold out there, guys. We are in the 20s across much of the state, in the teens in the UP, and up by the Gaylord area. These temperatures will drop a little bit overnight, but not too bad. But after the system passes on through, we're going to be looking at another, not really blast, but cooler temperatures that could drop us into the teens for lows. And that will continue to be the case throughout the next 15 days as well. The next 15 days on your graph here, we're pretty stable, but do take note, the low temperatures there, we're getting 12, 13, 15, 16, 9, 6, 4, -2 for lows. A cold stretch is upcoming here, so we're going to watch that carefully. But you guys are watching this because you want to know how much snow we're going to get out of the system. And let's go ahead and talk about that. Starting with the model here, we'll go over to the forecast just a second, but with the model, snow arrives roughly around that noon time frame. We're starting to see our first snowflakes here in West Michigan around that noon, 1 o'clock time frame. As we get into the evening hours, though, here comes the heaviest part of it. Now, here's dinner time. The heaviest is beginning right about this time and that pushes further east. And by the time we get to 10 o'clock, we have several inches already accumulating from Grand Rapids down to Jackson into Adrian, Monroe, Detroit areas, continuing to move east and north across the state. And by the time we reach into the Sunday morning hours, we're about reaching our peak here of the system, and pausing it here at 10 a.m. This is about what we're kind of expecting here with some deviations. We'll get to our forecast in just a second, but the model here clearly suggests west and southern lower Michigan with the highest amounts, where we're seeing anywhere from 8, 9, 10, 11, as much as a foot of snow in localized spots here. Further east, though, across the southeast part of the state, from the thumb down through Detroit, Monroe County, we're seeing a little bit less in the way of snow totals here. The model currently, our thinking is right on par with this, if not just a little bit over what models are thinking. So let's go ahead and dive into our forecast here. It was on the page earlier. We're going to stick with majority of our forecast from yesterday, but we did make some slight adjustments. Number one, we've upped our totals in West Michigan, Muskegon, Grand Rapids, over to Lansing, over to Jackson, Coldwater, Kalamazoo area, the pink zone, 7 to 13 inches of snow in that zone starting Saturday, early afternoon, and continuing into Sunday. Elsewhere, a wide swath of 4 to 8 inches across much of the state, but there are two caveats here. The first one being that zone over toward Detroit, Monroe County, St. Clair. We could see warmer lake waters cut into totals over there. It's still uncertain. Current thinking is we could see a couple inches less over there, but if the lake doesn't influence as much, you guys will sneak into that 4 to 8 pretty easily. But we are accounting for those warm lake waters here, which could cut into totals. Second caveat, up by the Gaylord area, 2 to 5 inches up there as well. Not seeing too much in the way of a significant accumulation with lake effect, so the further north you go, the less the system impacts you. Up in the UP, 1 to 3 general swath there with localized lake effect kicking up behind it. 4 to 8 just west of Marquette there. Elsewhere, 2 to 5, unless you're by Sault Ste. Marie, 4 to 8 for you guys as well. Impacts to travel are likely with this system as well. Coinciding with the heaviest snowfall, we went ahead and put high impacts across west and parts of southern lower Michigan there, from Ludington down to about Grand Rapids, through Lansing, over to Brighton, Jackson, Adrian, and points westward there. Outside the high impact zone, we are still seeing impacts in the medium zone from Detroit, Sandusky, Tri-Cities, Mount Pleasant, Traverse City up toward Oscoda and Alpena. And then up further north where less snow is falling, low impacts, still impactful in some areas. Do give yourself extra time, but it won't be as significant as it is downstate. Elsewhere in the UP, limited impacts are likely just because they've already got a lot of snow up there. They're already used to it. They just got almost 2-3 feet of snow in some spots, so they're already dealing with road conditions here. This system will not add on to those conditions too terribly much. Current alerts out there. We do have several, almost the entire state within some type of winter alert. We see the pink zone from Ludington over to the Tri-Cities, pointing southward to Adrian, over to New Buffalo. Winter storm warning in effect. That was going into effect tomorrow morning and early afternoon, depending on what exact county you're in. Totals within this warning per NWS, if you're on the west side of the state, I believe it's 7 to 12 or so. But on the east side, it's more so 5 to 8, 5 to 9 in some spots there. It kind of ranges depending on your county. Elsewhere, outside the advisory, we're looking at 5 to 7 inches over on the east side, which is kind of weird, truthfully. The Lenawee County warning, where I'm at here in Lenawee County, the winter storm warning is for 5 to 8 inches, but Monroe County over to my east is in a advisory for 5 to 7. So it's a difference of 1 inch, guys. It's not a huge, significant deviation. So the advisory is still high end. Would not be shocked to see some of these, if not all of these counties, go into some type of winter storm warning come tomorrow. So just because you're in advisory, still take it seriously. We're talking 1 inch difference between the warning and the advisory. Okay. Further north up by Gaylord, again, right around 4 to 8 inches or so for the most part. Our forecast does call for a little bit less, but the alert up there does call for a little bit more than our forecast. So they went ahead and went an advisory with that area further north. And the UP obviously as well, advisory there just for snow that could be impactful to travel in certain areas. That is all I have in terms of graphics. Any questions, feel free to pop those in chat. If there are none, we'll hop out pretty quick and call it a day. But I'm sure you guys have questions, so feel free to chime in here and ask away. One thing I did not touch on with this system is the wind. The wind is not going to be that bad. However, the further south you go, we're talking like 94 corridor, we start getting close to 30, 35 mile per hour winds here. Those have started to increase on the latest models. We could see some blowing snow with low visibility tomorrow evening across portions of southern Michigan. So keep that in mind. Sunday morning, though, winds will ramp up here across the 94 corridor once again, gusting to 40, perhaps 45 in spots. But by that time, the snow should be wrapping up there, so not too much in the way of impactful travel. But we could see some blowing snow for sure if the snow is light enough in some areas, which this snow will be kind of between the dry, wet type. It's going to lean more so toward the wet type, but we could still see some blowing and drifting regardless. The heaviest snow, George, is expected late tomorrow evening. We're going to say dinner time through about midnight to 1 a.m. will be the peak of this system for snowfall rates. I'll pop our forecast on the screen for you guys to reference here. I see a lot of location questions for specific areas. If you live in lower Michigan, with our forecast, you're pretty much guaranteed 4 to as much as a foot of snow down there in the pink zones. The only areas that are going to be less than that are close to the Canadian border by the Detroit side or up in the Gaylord Alpena area where we have 2 to 5 instead. But everybody, the grass should be covered for pretty much everybody across the state here, no matter if you live in Alpena or Ludington or Mount Pleasant or Kalamazoo. It's going to be a good, I like to call it a thump of snow. So let's see here. What's up, Jaden? See Jaden in chat here with a $10 super chat. Says W update Ryan. Thank you, Jaden, for that. Appreciate you popping in here and appreciate the work that you do out there. Yes, the Michigan-Ohio State game will likely be impacted tomorrow as snow is ramping up around that time. So the drive home will be worse than the drive in, but it's going to be a madhouse getting out of there. Hopefully a lot of the snow holds off. Going back to the map here and kind of showing you guys hour by hour, snow begins to move into the East Michigan right around that 2-3 p.m. time frame. I'll pop this off your screen here. There we go. But the really heavy stuff doesn't really start to kick in until dinner time, 6 or 7 o'clock or so. So as that heavier band moves in, that's when we start seeing the roads deteriorate. So hopefully there's an hour or two we can clear out of the stadium there to get traffic flowing and moving again. So it'd be close. But I would still expect travel impacts if you are planning to go to the game here, especially if you're driving to the west side of the state home. You'll be driving into this. No, Tyler, you cannot. What would be the reasons the system would give us more snow or less snow? Good question there. So with these systems and with any winter system, really, we look at the saturation of the atmosphere. So if there's not enough moisture, we're not going to become saturated, which is going to melt the snow basically in air, dry air. That is one case that could be an issue with any winter storm that is synoptic in nature. This one's no different. We don't see that being the case. We haven't really seen that being an issue on models. There's really not anything, pulling moisture and holding it to the south of us. We should have a lot of moisture around for the system, which is kind of why we're seeing those close to a foot totals with it. But overall, that's one major reason we could see less in terms of that. Now, in terms of overachieving, if we get what's called convective banding, which is basically where the snow bands start to intensify, we could even see thunder snow in that case. That would really ramp up our snowfall rates, but that's also a low chance of happening. So we're kind of confident in our forecast currently. The lower or over with this system is low chance either way. We're not seeing that being the case. I do want to bring up the model here. We saw internally this afternoon with the afternoon model run here, but this is a map here. It's called lightning flash density, basically just saying, hey, we have a very low chance of perhaps some lightning with this banding tomorrow night. Take a look at your screen. The blue there close to the Ohio-Indiana border there, 8 p.m. That's when the heaviest begins to move in. So perhaps a very low chance of a thunder, snow, lightning strike out there. We don't think it's going to happen based on current trends, but we're starting to trend in that direction. We could be mentioning it as a possibility, but something to watch. Trent says, can we have a snow day on Monday? It's a possibility, Trent. It is definitely a possibility, especially if you are in one of the 4 to 8 inch zones or especially 7 to 13 zones. Yes, the snow will be on the wetter side of things, and that is due to temperatures hovering close to, but not quite at 32 degrees here. I'll go ahead and pop on the temperature map here for the evening hours here. We're looking at right around upper 20s, low 30s here. Good for about a 12 to 14-ish to 1 ratio, which is on the wetter side, but it's also not like, it's hard to explain. It's not going to be dry and fluffy. It's going to be on the wetter side of things for a lot of us. There's always a chance of an overachieving or underachieving system, but based on our forecast confidence, we feel it's a low chance. We will have chasers out tomorrow. I can name 4 or 5 who will be going out to get us coverage, road updates. So stay tuned onto the page. We'll have posts going out for traffic and measurements, stuff like that. We'll have updates all day tomorrow. Thank you, Megan, for that super chat. I believe I answered that question already. We're going to lean more so toward on the wet side of things. It's not going to be a fluffy, dry snow, that's for sure, but it's not going to be, it's hard to explain, but it's going to lean on the wet side of things. I am 3 minutes behind with my chat here. You guys are killing the chat tonight. Let me catch up here. Why would they put Genesee under an advisory, but all the counties around us under a warning? That is because Detroit, with their forecast, their confidence in winter storm warning criteria is low to medium in nature. They need to have better confidence of higher totals in East Michigan, which internally we feel like there is. But they're the officials at NWS. They make their decisions and issue the warnings and watches and so on and so forth. So what they say goes. But internally, we kind of feel like there should be a warning in place or an advisory, but it's a difference of opinion, really. We're talking like a 1 to 2 inch difference between the advisory and the warning, so it's not a huge difference either way. It's more so about technicality. Bryce asks a question here. I'll kind of bounce off it. Do you think snow could last for Christmas? So I'm going to answer this two directions. First direction is after this snowfall, this graph on your screen here is based out of Lansing. We're not seeing one day above freezing. And that's about a week out. Otherwise, we're right around the 30-degree mark. So this snow is not going to melt too terribly quickly. Other way I'm going to answer that question is looking at the long term of things. I'm going to give you guys a very sneak peek here. I shouldn't do this because I'm going to save it for tomorrow's video, but check out the long term here. Okay, this is a European run, model run from this afternoon. And after the system goes by, a second system passes off to our south here, goes up the northeast coast. A clipper system for Wednesday for us. Another clipper system for Friday. Perhaps more snow for Sunday of next week. It's just nonstop. We are in a very, very active pattern here, and it does not look to slow down at all. So we are locking in, and hopefully this will continue into Christmas for you. But the snow on the ground right now, could it last till Christmas? Maybe. I don't know what the 15 to 30-day period holds, but I can tell you we're trending cold and active, so signs are there. Perhaps a white Christmas for some of us. Maybe. Way too early to say that, but Just kind of like a forecasting note. Cindy with a super chat says, thanks for MSC for the coverage. Thank you, Cindy, for tuning in, being a supporter of us here. Brandon, this will not be a wind-driven snow. We could see some gustier winds close to the Ohio border, Indiana border areas, but it's not going to be significant enough to really start warranting the mention of wind-driven snow, so to speak. Courtney, I think that 4 to 8 inches on a widespread area is a pretty big snowfall, especially on the west side. If you're getting 7 to 13, I think it's pretty big, in my opinion. Red Dozer, $20 super chat says, thanks, Ryan. Have to go to Zealand again on Sunday afternoon. Hoping it's done by then. You will be fine, Red. I take that back. The snow will be done, so in that case, you're fine. But depending on how plows are getting out and plowing stuff, you could have a slick travel up there. So definitely take it easy. Hopefully by the time Monday rolls around, we'll have a better roads out there. But being a holiday week, I'm not sure MDOT or county municipalities are planning on using their crews or not. We'll have to kind of see. But do plan on slick travel up there to Zealand. Any other questions? Feel free. Yep, everything is posted on the page here. The travel forecast, a bit different today. We decided to opt for a broader, generalized scheme versus individualized highways and roads. So we basically labeled it from limited, low, medium, high, and extreme. We don't have any extreme impacts, at least not yet, but high impact there across the West Michigan and South Michigan areas. Outside of that zone, medium impacts across the east side, central part of Michigan, and then further north where less snow is falling, low impact, and then western UP, limited impacts from the system. They just got hammered with 2 to 3 feet over there, so their roads are either already snow covered or they know how to drive up there. So this system's not going to be that big of a deal for these guys. So limited impacts. Karen says, been following you guys since you became full public. We like the way you guys talk with us and show more detail than normal news broadcasts. Thank you, Karen, for that compliment. Appreciate you. We like to interact with you guys. We like doing these briefings. I personally love this, interacting, talking one-on-one with you guys. I like it. And that's how you guys, A, learn, and also B, understand how weather works. So any questions you guys have, feel free to chime in. I'll do my best to answer those. We have over 1,000 people in here right now, so I can't get to all the questions, unfortunately. But I am watching chat here, and I'm going to keep on scrolling until I see a question that catches my eye. Shannon asks, what is the chance Oakland County will upgrade to a winter storm warning? Possibility. So the difference between some of these counties, between the warning and the advisory, is only 1 inch of snow. So if confidence comes in and increases in another inch or two of accumulation, well, we'll see what Detroit does, but would not be shocked at all to see some, if not all, counties on the east side of the state get added to the winter storm warning. But I think regardless, the messaging here we're trying to relay to you guys, the difference between the warning and the advisory is 1 to 2 inches. It is not significant in nature. So impacts roughly the same. Snow roughly the same. It's just a matter of technical criteria they follow at the Weather Service. Jason asked, do you guys anticipate a lot of power outages? Jason, good question. The answer with this system is not really. We could see some late Saturday into early Sunday when the winds start to pick up across the 94 and point southward corridors. We're talking like Kalamazoo, Jackson, Detroit, southward. That area would be the best area to see power outages, but not too concerned with the overall spectrum of this event. Shouldn't be a huge concern. Is there a chance for the heavier snow totals to make it more east? Based on data, I'm going to say, I mean, define heavier because we're talking like a matter of a few inches. We're talking a foot or more, probably not. But with the forecast we have out there, we could definitely see that 7 to 13. In fact, I think I were talking to Joel earlier this afternoon because he's our meteorologist on staff. He makes all these forecasts here, and I believe he mentioned pulling that 7 to 13 zone a little bit further east toward like the Jackson area. So we'll see what he does with the forecast. It'll be posted tomorrow morning for you guys first thing as a last call. As far as, dragging that whole entire zone over, probably not. I don't see any significant changes with this. I think 4 to 8, maybe localized higher, is a good amount for most of Southeast Michigan. I am still way behind in chat. You guys are crushing the chat tonight. Appreciate you guys. Jen becoming a member. Thank you, Jen, for your support. Welcome to the team. Is it possible for Ingham County to see higher than forecasted snow totals? Only if we have what's called convective banding. Excuse me. And that is a low chance of happening. I think the 7 to 13 range for the west side of Ingham and then 4 to 8 on the east side of Ingham is a good general consensus. Midland went from nothing to a warning. So don't get confused here. We had two systems here. We're forecasting lake effect over the past couple of days. This is a completely different system. Our forecast has not changed much at all for the Tri-Cities with this particular system. So make sure we're dividing down the middle. We had a lake effect event that's wrapping up now, and now we have round 2 with a synoptic event, this is not lake effect in nature, which is why it's impacting a wide area, and also why East Michigan is getting in the action. We always have the joke in chat and in the comment section, the Southeast Michigan snow hole. That's usually because a lot of these events are lake effect in nature, so West Michigan, Northern Michigan gets hammered, while East Michigan misses out. Not the case this time around. This is a large-scale event, not lake effect in nature. Chances of whiteout conditions tomorrow at noon, Traverse City to Cadillac. Unlikely, Stephen, unless you have a big lake effect band, but not seeing that either. So tomorrow at noon, unlikely. Red Dozer back, gifting 20 memberships. Thank you, Red, for that. Welcome to the team. The 20 of you guys just got gifted. And because of that, Red, I'm also going to gift memberships on behalf of MSC. I'm going to pull up the chat here so I can actually do it. There we go. Let's go ahead and give away some memberships, shall we? There we go. Gifting. Let's go ahead and send 5. We'll save that. We'll save the rest of those for later. But just gifted 5 on behalf of MSC. So appreciate you guys being supportive of our work here. Genesee, Oakland County will be in the higher end or lower end of 4 to 7. So we're thinking right in the middle range. I think 6 inches. We said this a few days ago. 6 inches is a good middle ground for most all of the state. Could be a few inches over that. Could be an inch or two below that. But 6 inches is a going rate. That's what I kind of, well, if I can talk. That's what I would kind of expect over there in your neck of the woods. Again, the entire state here is blanketed, for the most part, entire lower peninsula, in 4 to 8 to as much as 13 inches down there in the pink zones. So if you guys are going to ask your locations, just find your nearest city on the map. It's a pretty big event here. It's not going to deviate between cities like Lake Effect does. So in Flint to Saginaw, I mean, it's a 20-mile difference, but you're still going to have the same range of 4 to 8 inches. So not too much change overall when you think about it. The heaviest snow we currently feel is over on the west and south part of the state, from Ludington, Muskegon, Holland, Kalamazoo, over to about Coldwater, Jackson, and Lansing areas. That may be adjusted here if Joel, if I think Joel was hinting at it earlier, we were going to adjust it further east, but we'll wait to see evening models and then form a consensus then, and then that update will be posted to members overnight tonight, and then go public on the page first thing tomorrow morning. Snow begins tomorrow on the west side of the state around the noon time frame, perhaps just a bit after that. On the east side of the state, first snowflakes will be a little bit later. We're probably looking at 3, 4, maybe 5 o'clock for you guys over in the Brighton, Flint, Saginaw, Detroit areas. Possible, Delight. Possible. I can talk about that real quick. So, in chat here, Chris asked, can you go into detail with possible rain-snow mix cutting in on snow totals in the city of Detroit? Well, I can talk about it briefly. The main concern with the very far east side of the state is lake water temperatures. We have a wind that is oriented southeast to northwest, and that kind of pushes that warmer lake air in immediate lakeshore areas of Monroe, Wayne, Macomb, St. Clair counties. So because of that southeast wind, that may warm our air in the low levels just enough to cut in on those snow totals. On the models here, you're not going to see that. It's very mesoscale localized, so models aren't that great at picking it up. But as you can see here, across the central part of the state, we're at 27 degrees. Over on the east side by Detroit, Monroe, we're at 31, close to freezing there. So it's trying to hit on that, but it's not fully, picking up the influence of the lakes at this current time. Lake waters are still quite warm for the time of year, so that is the main reason why you see less totals for the east side there of the state. Upgrades to the advisories are possible, especially on the east side of the state. And again, I want to reiterate the fact that the warning to you guys is west and the advisory you guys are in, the difference is 1 to 2 inches. It is not a big difference between the two. Detroit NWS is going by their technicality here. So by criteria, the 4 to 7 meets advisory criteria. The 8+ inch meets the warning criteria. So we have to have confidence of 8+ inches or 8 inches in a matter of, I think it's 12 or less than 12 hours or 24 hours or something like that. I don't know the exact criteria for the length, but we're talking 1 or 2 inches here. It's not a big deal. Impacts are going to be the same no matter if you're in Wayne or Washtenaw County. It's going to be slick out there. It's going to be roughly the same amount of snow as well. Last couple questions. I'm going to hop out of here, guys. Got Killjoy for a month number 13. Time to get in the Christmas spirit. I changed the briefing intro to a Christmas song. I was hoping people would recognize it, but they didn't. I'm kind of disappointed. I was in the mood. I was in the holiday spirit. I am way behind on chat. You guys are crushing it tonight. I appreciate you guys tuning in here. School closings, yeah, I'm going to say likely. I'm not going to say where, but with this system between the 4 to as much as 13 inches of snow we're forecasted, we're going to have some closures for sure. I would expect those for Monday at least. Back roads, unfortunately, will likely be very slick. Main roads should be clearish, I have to imagine. But again, that's assuming plows are out in full force. Thank you, Stacy, for becoming an EF1 member. Appreciate your support of the channel. Welcome to the team. Thunder snow possible for southeast Michigan. At this time, it is a extremely low chance. We just talked about this like 10 minutes ago. Models are starting to indicate we could have some what's called lightning flash densities. So it's hinting, at least the afternoon run was hinting at perhaps some chance of it, but it's not a overly high chance right now. If that does change, we will post about it because we all want to hear thunder snow. I know it's a big deal. If that changes, we'll let you guys know. But right now, low chance of that happening. All right, go over timing one more time for you guys, and we're going to hop out of here. So let's go find our map here. There we go. Let's go and back this up. So evening, lake effect snow ongoing through the night into the morning hours. Not a big deal for lake effect belts, but this system off to our west moves in late morning, early afternoon tomorrow. The model here, model here says it starts snowing 11 o'clock here, but the air has to become saturated. So it's likely not going to start falling all the way to the ground until later on, early afternoon. So noon, 1, and then 2 p.m., I'd expect snow to begin to falling right around this time frame, noon to 2, in the west part of the state at least. Further to the east, that'll likely be closer to dinner time, 4, 5, 6 p.m. or so. Further north, that will likely be a little bit later on than that, closer to 8 or 9 o'clock. In the evening hours here, that will continue. The heaviest will arrive right around dinner time across south central Michigan between 6, 7, 8 p.m. or so. That will continue into the late evening, into the early overnight hours. There's midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then we could see a changeover briefly. Not expecting that to be a case, though, but models are hinting at it at least. This should be all snow, though. By 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, that system is now rotating off, and by the time we wake up and start traveling out for our Sunday, whether going to church or brunch somewhere, it is ending, and we're left with lingering lake effect snow showers that may add additional accumulation for lake effect belts in the UP and West Michigan, but that second part of the system, not going to be a huge deal at current thinking. If that changes, we'll let you guys know. All right, but overall, right around noon tomorrow, early afternoon for the west side, and then dinner time for the east side. Heaviest arrives late evening into the early overnight hours. Wake up, it'll be ending right around that mid-morning time frame tomorrow or Sunday. Red Dozer with a $50 super chat. Thank you, Red. A little something on behalf of my good friend that passed away yesterday morning. I am so sorry, Red. We would always talk weather, and I would share MSC info with her. That is, my condolences go out to you. I am really sorry to hear that, Red. Appreciate your support, though. That is never easy, losing a friend like that. I am still way behind on chat here. You guys are, again, crushing it, so I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your evening to tune in here. We might go live sometime tomorrow morning for another final update. We do not currently plan to go live through the event. If that changes, obviously, we'll post about it. But we will have chasers out giving us updates from the field. We'll post those updates as we get them. But right now, a live stream, for coverage at least, is not expected at this time. That could change, though. We'll have to see. All right, that's going to wrap things up here for tonight's briefing. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to close out the stream here with some sponsors who help us with operations here at Michigan Storm Chasers. So let's go ahead and talk sponsors here. We'll go ahead and wrap things up here with tonight's forecast, starting with StormGuard Roofing and Construction based out of Southeast Michigan, Katz Roofing and Siding based out of Lansing, Mike Hayes Roofing and Siding out of the Thumb region, McKay Tree Specialist across Southeast Michigan. We got Kuiper Tree Care across West Michigan, On Top Roofing of Livingston County, Top Gun Roofing and Exteriors out of West Michigan, A-Class Construction Restoration out of Mason County, Rainbow Restoration, Kent County, surrounding areas, Rapid Radios, our communications sponsor, Guardian Technologies, our Skycam provider, as well as audio-video security provider, American Arbor, Southwest Michigan tree sponsor there, Clear Plow Snow Pushers for a unique way to save your back pushing snow, Apex Restoration out of Grand Blanc, and lastly, feel free to donate to the Ronald McDonald House of Detroit with their charity. All these sponsors help keep operations rolling here at MSC, as well as provide services to you, the people of Michigan. So we appreciate them for doing so and for their support here of Michigan Storm Chasers. Want to shout out Aaron here in chat for becoming a member. Appreciate you joining the team, Aaron. Welcome aboard. So yes, that will do it for today's forecast. If you're just tuning in to the forecast, feel free to rewind to the start of it. First 10 to 15 minutes or so, we talk about all the details, timing, amounts, locations. Feel free to rewind and rewatch it. But for now, we're 42 minutes in. I'm going to roll the outro. Unfortunately, not a holiday-themed outro. I may change that next time, though. But for now, enjoy the outro music. We'll catch you guys tomorrow here, perhaps for another briefing, for a final update, and maybe, just maybe, some live coverage with our chasers out there. We'll have to see on that, though. In the meantime, enjoy your evening, guys. I'm going to roll the outro and enjoy mine. You guys stay safe.